I don't even know what to riff about, man.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Get Your Deck Out, your weekly Magic the Gathering podcast where we talk about Magic, lifestyle, TCGs, and mainly getting our decks out in the competitive space. As usual, my friend, good partner in crime, 11ZTD Scott is here with me, and we are, I think this is post Pro Tour Eve, or like the night after the day before, or still the night after the night before for those who are celebrating. Because we've held off till the Monday because there was a lot of things happening which could have potentially made whatever we recorded pointless. But here we are to talk about and celebrate Nathan Stoyer winning yet another Magic tournament. Hey, what a surprise, Scott! Somebody good at Magic is winning it all.
Yeah, mad, right? Dude's good at Magic and won a Pro Tour and beat another extremely good Magic player who so nearly went back to back, which I know they mentioned it on coverage, but for the people not aware, Chris Larson won the last Pro Tour, and the only time that's even been vaguely done was Kai Buddha winning a team Pro Tour and then a solo Pro Tour. It's never been done with two solo Pro Tours back to back. Falling in the final, unfortunate, but congrats to Nathan.
Yeah,
played
right.
really, really well.
Yeah, right. And despite all that pressure, all that potential prestige, it's sort of like heart of like the game was like very much in play. Like they are ultimately teammates, ultimately good friends.
Sideboarding face up.
Sideboarding face up.
Talking shit the whole time.
Like it could have, other than obviously quality of play, it could have only have been equivalent to me and you playing a Pro Tour final.
It literally looked like an F&M, right? Like they're talking about how they're sideboarding. They mentioned it on coverage that apparently all of the team were sideboarding face up against each other, like no surprises, everything face up, which, sure, if that's the way you want to operate your team, as long as there's set rules, then that's great.
Yeah.
Like, as long as everyone follows it. I know it's Anthony Lee's team, and he's done a fantastic job of getting that group of guys together. Like Chris always saying, like, trust the Spanish, because a lot of the work was done by Javier, who again finished top 16, by the way. He's just allergic to not doing well. You'll see people like Nathan, where he went on a generational run, competed 3 events in a row, won 2 of them, and then had a bit of a just nothing year.
Yeah, fell out of favor.
Fell off the Pro Tour, got back on the Pro Tour, fell off again, and then got to this Pro Tour by winning the PTQ at the PT that Chris won.
We're 1 week away from Spotlight Series London. Spotlight Series you are going to see us at. We're going to be playing the main event, but importantly for those of you who actually just come and listen to us on this show once a week, we're actually going to be there in person on Friday with the setup, talking about the weekend, talking about all the different formats, talking to a load of cool people. There's basically loads lined up, and we probably not going to set a schedule now because we wouldn't want to disappoint, because ultimately the whole of the couple of weeks after the podcast is going to be more of a rolling schedule. Because thanks to Fanfinity and Ultimate Guard, we will be there covering some like main topics. We'll be covering like some shorter form stuff, which you may, for sort of like the episodes, let's just say 55 through to 50 something, might have a few more per week offers from the event. If the internet
they may be shorter, they may be like 20, 25 minutes. We're basically just going to get as much content as we can over the weekend, and then Dave is going to go into the editing trenches and try and put together.
For the audio listeners, I just put up my Jedi hat and just to cut my head down, which is
Dave will try and put together some cohesive content, and I mean, I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to it. It is the second leg of my extremely busy May. I was at a stag do last weekend, this weekend.
This weekend just gone. Like,
this weekend.
Timeline Monday, crazy. Like, we'll lose.
I already don't know what day it is, and we're on the 4th of May as of this recording. But yeah, we've got London, and then 2 weeks after that, I'll be flying out to Prague with one of our local players, and I'll be meeting some other local players out there as well. So we'll wait and see. Hopefully the spotlight goes well for me and I don't have to panic and switch and learn an entirely new deck in 2 weeks. But
Yeah, so
we as you said, we are playing the main as well. So we're going to be there doing all the content stuff on the Friday. Unless Fanfinity and Ultimate Guard turn around and say, we love you, do more content, then we may do that. We'll see. Hint, hint, Fanfinity.
We'll see.
But our current plan is to play the main. Do we want to talk about what decks we're playing?
I think we will, but let's talk about like how the top 8 is shaking out, because we have been, and it might form part of a later video with everybody part of the team. We have been planning, playing, testing. We were making some.
Did you say it might form part of the video?
Might form part of a former video, a future
might
video.
Might form harmonizer even.
Oh, hello, cheeky.
Neither of us are playing might form harmonizer, but we'll get there.
I mean, sort of having a couple of weeks now of guest prep. So, like, we definitely had some guest prep on what we're seeing across the Magic Online streets, what we were sort of like seeing in the wind, also just off our experience of like playing the other decks ourselves. So Landfall doing well, for example, this weekend has not necessarily been a surprise to our prep. It was just a surprise to the efficiencies that came out of some of the builds, especially the fact that, like, we've gone back towards Selesnya, but we've still kind of gone that sapling nursery route as well, which, like, so there's like these little tweaks that were discussed. As you'll know, we got a bunch of very, very proficient Lessons players around our friends. So we kind of like looking at how Lessons was going to do. Like, Lessons has been evolving. And the land out of the top 8 was nice to see, kind of unsurprising in a lot of cases. But we'll go through, we'll just go through sort of like from the top 8. So entering the top 8 on Breakers and getting there was Zevon Faust. Zevon Faust got there with Azorius Tempo, a deck that we've effectively thought about this, like, sort of in this like prep season. Like, we thought, hey, there's going to be some obvious like upticks with Sky Coach Conductor and in the deck, as we see on screen. Like, for audio listeners, come over to the YouTube and take a look, because we are going through the edits this time. Deck did well here. On the whole, not so much, Scott.
Yeah, it seems that Zevon is just a badass with this deck. Played it at Pro Tour Lorwyn as well. Not the exact same deck, obviously. There are new cards in it. Played it in Milwaukee at the regional championship as well. Got top 32 in Lorwyn, was top 64 in the regional championship, now top 8 in another Pro Tour. So obviously very, very accomplished player, very good at the deck. Did actually play, I'm just having a look, did actually play blue-white a little while ago in Atlanta at Spotlight Foundations at the start of the year. So a fan of a hallowed fountain, shall we say.
For sure.
Jeskai Energy in Portland in Modern, Boros Energy at Atlanta for Pro Tour Edge of Eternities. Golgari Aggro, which was the other top 8 that Zevon's had recently, which was the black-green up the beanstalk sort of graveyard deck, which, again, was a nice, spicy little number. So I think this is a case of the deck isn't very well positioned right now, but Zevon is just really, really, really good at it.
Yeah, like this is like a deck that High Noon was not necessarily needed into this meta, like other than Lessons, I guess. Like,
even against Lessons, High Noon's not even that good. That's the thing, is High Noon is probably more devastating against something like Spelementals, where they're not playing 4 Boomerang basics. Where Lessons, yeah, fair enough, they don't normally play 4 Boomerang basics, but they have so much digging power between Artist Talent, between Accumulate Wisdom, drawing what feels like half your deck sometimes. High Noon is a good disruptive piece, but you really need to, you can't just play High Noon and win. You need to have Voice of Victory, so you can't cast a spell. You can only cast 1 spell every turn cycle rather than 2. You need things like Ang, things like Sky Coach Conductor to blink the Ang, Aven Interrupter, where you are literally just choking them out and tempoing them. This isn't a prison deck. It's not you can't cast any spells ever. It is just tempoing them out and just, you cast a spell, but I cast Naven Interrupter, untap, play a Voice of Victory, like attack you with the Interrupter, go, they cast another spell, you ang it. Like that's the vibe of this deck. And it's not a control deck. It's pretty much an aggro deck, but I think that Crisis of Identity might actually hurt the deck a little bit, where it's an aggro deck, but it's playing 2 Avatars Wrath. There's just a couple of things where maybe for the average Joe, you could tidy it up a little bit almost. But for Zevin, as long as he's got Hallowed Fountains, he's fine.
It feels that way. Like it's leaned away from Momo and effectively it is essentially a flash deck rather than a flyer deck in that respect. And good results into the field there. As a whole, Azorius Tempo did not have that level of good results. I think so. Like Azorius Flash, would actually ended up like as an overall 44%. Really being very very stinky into any of the Izzet builds. Considering we knew that we were coming into Pro Tour, is it in sort of like the wider meta, the bravery of even like bringing this deck, it shows that they had a really good feel for what they were playing. Talking about Izzet, the first of our Izzet decks, the Spellmentals version, was Max Komaminski once again rising to the top, hitting the top 8 here. They brought not a stock build. There's a couple of new innovations in here, such as
they've definitely pissed about with the numbers in this one. This is a list that you do not come to by accident.
Yeah, like there's the flow state, and there's the Heroes Hangout, there's the Impractical Joke. What are your thoughts, Scott? Here, I kind of like trust the process of a Max Kaminsky deck, but also I'm not too sure how I win with some of the choices.
Yeah, Max is just a badass, and it's proven here with the top 8 finish. I mean, Max, I think I'm just going to check now. Yeah, top 8 regional championship Milwaukee, top 8 Spotlight Atlanta, regional championship Charlotte, top 64, won a Pioneer Energy Series showdown at the end of last year, top 64 in a regional championship, top 32 in a Pro Tour, second in an NRG, top 32, top 64, top 32, second. Like, just does not miss at all, and is a really consistent player, really accomplished blue-red player in general. Has played Spellmentals, Lessons, Control, Breach, Arclight Phoenix, Murktide, just Twinless Exarch in Modern, which I'm actually going to click on. I'm going to click on this. So it is Kiki Jiki, Deceiver Exarch, Archmage's Charm, Remand, just gaming. So yeah, just a badass of a player. With this list in particular, like 2 Hexing Sculpture in the sideboard, stuff like that, 2 Pit of Offerings in the sideboard. You don't get to these sort of things by accident. As I said, this has obviously been really, really heavily tested.
I got a little sense about the Hexing Sculpture and Pit of Offerings. Hexing Sculpture and Pit of Offerings would really sort of attack Demir Excruciator in respect of, obviously, your Deceit would then have to be paying quite a hefty 2 life every turn, and Pit of Offerings can hit and attack a graveyard. So I don't know if this was Max kind of going, we're going to potentially see some Spider-Man decks, and which we did see some, but not in the numbers.
Yeah, there was nowhere near as many Superior Spider-Mans this tournament. In terms of this list, I have no idea how it matches up into the landfall deck specifically. Spellmentals had a winning record against pretty much everything apart from the landfall decks, which is really surprising to me, actually, when they're playing Force Underflock, and that's one of the best cards in the format against them. So whether that's a case of most of the landfall decks were green-white so they could play Rest in Peace, it looks like the mono-green win rate is actually worse, though. So maybe with the speed of mono-green, with how those decks have been built recently, where they've gone back to Harmonizer, Ice Till Explorer, just playing really lean. There's no Badgermole Cub decks that are like pissing about with Nature's Rhythm so much. I know Matt Nass was essentially playing Green White Nature's Rhythm because he had 4 in the sideboard with Crater Hoof in the sideboard, 2 Spider Manifestations. So a bit of a transformational plan there. But maybe it was just a miss because it seems like Spelementals was really, really good unless everyone was playing Landfall. And as we can see in this top 8, 5 of the decks are Landfall decks. So
yeah,
really good at getting Max to the top 8, like a really good choice for that. And if any of us were playing a Pro Tour, we'd be happy with day 2, let alone top 8, right?
yeah, no, for sure.
So yeah, a good shout, especially for a blue-red mage such as Max. With the list, I would recommend testing this if you want to play this in London. If you think, oh, I was going to play Spelementals, but this list looks really nice to me, play test it. You need to understand when that Heroes Hangout is useful, when the Get Out's useful. Flow State is a card that hasn't seen a huge amount of play in Spelementals specifically. That's been more of a prowess thing. 3 Winter Night Stories, so cutting that 4th Winter Night Stories, trimming the 4th Burst Lightning. It is a 19 land deck and you're playing 9 drops. Like, you need to know how to sequence with this deck and you need to know how to play it. For us in our Discord, so shout out to our Discord. If you are testing for London and you want to get involved, give us a shout in the Discord. We can give you the tags. Our own resident blue-red badass, Josh Corliss, has been working really hard on Spelementals, and there was a lot of chatter during the Pro Tour about Max's build in particular, where it is a bit odd. 3 Spell Snare is a lot. Maybe that's an admission to the Badgermole Cup deck specifically, so where Max identified that Landfall was going to be a little bit more popular than maybe it's been online over the last couple of weeks. So pack those extra Spell Snares to get those Cubs on the way down. But then aside from Cub, in these decks specifically, one of the main ways they fight you is Keen-Eyed Curator. So fair enough, Spell Snare gets that too. But drawing multiple of them can clog your hand up a little bit. So I don't know. With this one, it's my fallback is just playing Spelementals, just playing whatever list Josh sends if my testing goes badly. But
you're right in that it looks strong, other than if you did run into effectively needing to deal 4 damage. And the noticeable thing from a lot of the lists was Seer didn't really sort of see much play across the whole of the weekend. When you sort of take the Frank Carson article, like it was there, but it wasn't sort of in abundance.
It's probably why Mightform Harmonizer and Ice Tail Explorer ran absolutely rampant all weekend, was if you weren't playing a road, which was basically only in those green-white decks that were also playing Harmonizer and Ice Tail, you couldn't kill them. You couldn't get them off the board. Where for this deck, there's no traumatic critique. There's 2 Impractical Jokes, which deal 3. There's 3 Burst Lightnings, which deal 2. Get Out can counter them on the way down, but that's it. Like, Prismari Charm can bounce it, and that's the whole lot. So
I think that's the edge, right?
if your opponent stabilizes behind an Ice Tail Explorer, you're just dead unless you Sunderflock it.
Yeah, feels like there's sort of definitely the percentages where if the prediction of the landfall would have been correct, that it would have potentially put the deck beyond the top 8 and to basically be a top 2 potentially winning deck.
Potentially, yeah, but not with this build, because this build does look pretty soft to landfall. I can imagine it absolutely annihilates stuff like Lessons, Prowess, all of that sort of things, but that's because of the admission of I'm not playing Seer.
Yeah. But talking to landfall then, so the other fallers in the top 8 were both landfall decks. They're both of the mono green landfall decks. So Stefan Schultz and Matthew Steffens are both playing mono green. Similar lists, other than one notable, which was that in Steffen's list there was Sapling Nurseries. Sorry, I think it was in Matthew's list. It was Stefan.
In Matthew Steffenson's list, there's Sapling Nurseries in the main board,
and then Stefan Schultz was 2 in the side.
But had 4 Esper Origins in the main. That's the biggest difference.
Yeah, but both fell to so Matthew Steffens fell to Matt Nass on Celestial Void. We'll come to his deck in a mo, and then Stefan Schultz fell in the CFD sock matchup. So like I guess the deck again, very, very powerful without the removal pieces though. That's one of the big things when you're only in green is you're kind of a little bit like when you used to play like an elves deck or Coco deck in Pioneer. Like you just basically there's my creatures. Let's see what you do next.
There's no erode, there's no seam rip.
And I think that might just be the meta translation of the landfall decks now is that landfall is around, it will be Selesnya, and that will be what we'll get, and that will be what the meta now reshapes around going into London and beyond, which, yes, was very, very strong. Erode helped, Shelter by Ghosts, great, like, because again, sometimes you need to just get that regain of the life.
Shelter by Ghosts seemed to be like the best card in the mirror.
It did, absolutely.
That was the impression I was getting, was if you weren't just doing give something trample and then double its power 4 times, if it was a fair kind of broken up game, Shelter by Ghost looked fucking brilliant every time it was cast, where even if it was just taking away a Saz's Chocobo with a couple of counters on it, it was just completely stunting momentum, where even if they killed the creature and the Saz's Chocobo came back, it's a 0-1. So you can reset Mossborn Hydras with it. You can take away the Icetill Explorer for a key turn. You could even take away Earthbender Ascension if that's becoming a problem. So, I'd be surprised if most landfall decks weren't just green-white going forward.
Yeah. No, for sure. And so we'll move on to the semi-final decks. So another green-white deck, obviously Matt Nass's Selesnya. Selesnya token, some people called it, and I guess
it's just Gear Hulk, man. It's just Gear Hulk Ouroboros, where we actually, in these landfall decks, and as we've seen over the last couple of weeks on Magic Online, a lot of these decks are just completely off of Ouroboros now. But Matt Nass flying the tentacly flag, if you like, playing Bright Glass Gearhulk, Ouroboros, playing those seam rips because you can go get them with the Bright Glass Gearhulk, Gene Pollinator, 4 Keen-Eyed Curator in the main.
Just a massive lean into gotta stop Lessons, gotta stop Dimir Excruciator, gotta stop landfall.
Spelementals,
yeah.
All of these things, right? And yeah, as you said, like even stopping landfall, like being able to just take away the Fable Passage, stopping Icetill Explorer doing the bullshit with Mightform Harmonizer out of the graveyard, which we did actually see a good few times across the top 8. Erodes in the sideboard as well. As I said earlier, the Nature's Rhythm, Crater Hoof package, where you can just go really, really wide with this, with Force Age of the Skies in the main as well. So it looked a smidge clunky at times. 4 Abandoned Air Temple was a lot, and a good few times we saw that absolutely screw Matt. Yeah. So maybe we try and trim an Air Temple. I understand it's a really good card in this deck, but maybe 4 is one too many. Maybe it just didn't.
You got 11 instances of double green pips, right? Like that's quite tough to and
it's not even that, it's that it wasn't entering untapped. He was having draws where it was like Starting Town, Abandoned Air Temple, and you kind of need to keep it because it's like it's going Starting Town Llanowar Elves, but then having to just completely stunt your development by playing a tap land on turn 2 in a deck which ostensibly wants to tap out every turn for the first 4 or 5 turns, especially this version with Sage of the Skies and Bright Glass Gearhulk, where you want to be chaining these spells together. It looked really awkward more than once.
Yeah, definitely did. Like the games they lost on camera, they were never catching up, sort of as well. And the sort of leaning, and I did like the use of the Paw Patcher Coot, because again with the ward, essentially like some of this sort of like spot removal stuff is gonna like pump your team and then put your team into good blocker state. And we're definitely lacking sweepers in this format. Like, although like we saw some good results from some control decks, and our good friends from Worldly Council were playing a Jessica control list. Alex Rohan had a great outcome and result in constructed. So just didn't quite get there. It was actually
I stand by that Alex Rohan could do that with like 51 basic lands in his deck, but
the maybe we're like a week behind the perfect control deck, which obviously, London could be where we see that happen. What we could see is a resurgence in some decks like splashing into black. Like we said, like we're not Tamiya fans at home, Kaito fans, leave your decks away in your get your deck out deck box. Okay, don't think about bringing that out. If you bring in Tamiya to London, we'd probably suggest a slightly different archetype, which we'll look at when we look at the Vogue ones. But yeah, Matt Nass did great here. Overboyd's definitely still living, but I wonder if like they trimmed it to 3 Overboyds in the main. They called this Selesnya Gear Hulk instead. I'm not too sure. Like we're like the offset of like a meta call becomes, but
yes, where does the AI pick up the name from?
Oh, well, actually, when you look on actual MTG top decks, it's labeled Selesnya Overboyd and the archetype is Selesnya Gear Hulk. So it's like clearly
there's some scraper somewhere.
Yeah,
that's not doing its job properly.
But someone who never really just copy pastes, they definitely got some kind of plan which has come from their actual like hive mind is CFT Sock Raizang. They literally took lessons, refined it, made some changes. They're very subtle. Like, let's be fair.
That I fucking love, by the way.
So they came in basically at 16-2. Like, effectively, they've lost. They only like lost to Nathan, right? Like all tournament.
I think they were X1, yeah. So they lost to Nathan in the Swiss, and then did they lose to Nathan again in the top 8? I think so, right?
Excuse me, caller. We'll just double check that.
No, it was Chris. Chris beat them.
Yeah, effectively losing to Selesnya Landfall, like to basically top
the same deck, right?
Top tier
the
Selesnya
same
Landfall. Actually, in their interview before the top 8, pretty much said like what was their Saturday night, which was basically goldfishing against themselves on the Selesnya Landfall deck, because there was like almost an acknowledgement of I wasn't really prepared. Well, sorry, wasn't really expecting. Prepared is definitely something that CFC Talk is, and they looks very clean sideboard plan, and I think Lessons again like is just a deck that if you're tuned into, you can do well with. You can definitely fall over, like holding my hand up high and saying, you give me this to London next week on minimal reps, I'm at best 1-3 and dropping. Like that's what I would be my expectation output on that.
I just very quickly want to say I Googled CFT Sock lessons just to see if there was any content up yet. There isn't, but the second hit on Google, the first hit is their deck from the Pro Tour. The second hit on Google is the Cornwall Field Trial Society. So CFT Society. And our aim is to help improve the breeding and training of sound working dogs. So it's to do with field dogs, basically. So shout out to them. Why not? They're also CFT Sock in our eyes. But yeah, this list is, as usual, as you said with CFT Sock. They don't do things by accident, ever. They are very prepared. They're very methodical. They won their quarterfinal match in top 8 and then got interviewed by Tannen and basically said, I played like crap, which we've definitely been there of you come out with a win and you still feel like, oh, I need to sit down and get my head back on straight because I played that awfully. But yeah, the biggest change to this list is 3 consult the star charts in the main, which with Lessons decks, they have been trending more control-y, if you like, where they used to be very much hybridized with Stormchaser's Talent Boomerang Basics, where that was your game plan in a lot of games. In fact, it's how I won my RCQ was in game 3 against Josh. I played 3 Stormchaser's Talents and had 2 Boomerang Basics, and I didn't really cast very many other spells. I think I might have cast 1 Firebending Lesson, and I just made a bunch of otters and killed him. And it worked out for me then, but we were already talking amongst our testing group of, do we cut Stormchaser's Talent? Do we stay on it? It's often called Otterless, where, to be honest, if CFT Sox made the decision to not play Stormchaser's Talent, at least in the main deck, I'm probably just going to follow that, if I'm being completely honest, where they're probably right and I am almost definitely wrong. The two talents in the sideboard is interesting though.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's in a mirror. I'm going to maybe try and temper you out approach. I think
Potentially.
we've talked about that previously, where we've sort of talked about like if I'm playing the mirror, like the person who gets the most storm chasers quickly enough is the one who ends up winning. And we're talking like previous iterations of the deck.
Yeah.
So, just another solid result. Again, I think we're probably looking at a 2026, 2027 season where I'd be really surprised if we don't actually see a like overall win. Like, I just think they're just always going to be in the mix.
Yeah, they started very high and they have gone on an upwards trajectory from there.
I know, to be fair. But to talk about two people who just stayed on that trajectory, obviously our finalists, Nathan and Chris, like, they rocked the Selesnya Lessons list, which
Selesnya Landfall.
Sorry, Selesnya Landfall. Imagine Selesnya Lessons. That would be the shittest deck. Because there is Selesnya Lessons, but
yeah, there's like End to the Avatar State, which is the give a thing lifelink or flying or whatever, and there's
like
shared roots
Yip or something like
Yip as well. The +2/+2 flying. Yeah,
there's
it would be like a creature-based tempo deck.
It'd probably be some kind of like heroic deck, wouldn't it, or something like
that? Yeah. Why not? Splash, accumulate wisdom. Off you fucking go. We got a stew going. Let's go.
We talked about 3 of the main cards: Sheltered by Ghost, Rest in Peace, and Road. There is a couple of others, specifically the creature package of 2 Dryadines, which again a card I loved when I saw it in release season. So that's it enters with a X number of +1/+1 counters, which is based on the mana you spent to cast it. And whenever you attack, you can take a counter off from each of the 2 creatures you control. And if you do, you draw a card and you make a robot, which again, like, it's just ultimate value consistently again and again and again.
It's that tiny little bit of card draw that this deck sometimes needs, right? Where we saw the Harmonizer combo decks that was expertly piloted by Tony Portolan in the last Pro Tour. That was playing Consult the Star Charts and Stock Up. And yeah, fair enough, it was more of a combo deck. It was very much a full bore Ice Tail Explorer, crack a land twice, double my Mightform Harmonizer several times. But this deck can do that. It's just not playing full bore.
Yeah.
But they cut blue and they lost Stock Up and Consult. So I was interested to see how they solved that card advantage problem. And Diadrine is, let's be real, not a very good card.
Not independently.
No, but it kind of fills that gap. It's really good with Earthbender Ascension.
Yeah, and they lean into like a couple of other sort of what I call like hybrid spells of like a bushwhack, where like bushwhack kind of thins your deck to get the land, but it also can be some removal. And they also splashed the one of Kurtzel Malamute Exemplar. Anyone who doesn't know this card, it is essentially a lock piece card, so you can't cast spells during your turn. Interesting addition. Means that like you against control, they're gonna have to like tap out on your turn, which on their turn, which essentially means that's cool. I'm just going to just make loads more dudes on my turn then. Like, you're not going to stop me. Got the dub. It was just great to see great to see the sort of like the return of Nathan, not only to the top tables, but winning. It did bring up one debate over the weekend, which was like, where's the Hall of Fame? Like, and like there's, if in the modern era of post-COVID,
you could put 35 people in there right now.
Yeah, but we're now definitely hitting like a top 10 or so of people who post-COVID would be worthwhile candidates, not just for their post-COVID runs, but like they've done since this time.
Yeah, like Seth, Javier, Nathan, Simon, they're all in without question, basically. Yeah. And I'm sure there's people I've forgotten off the top of my head. Matt Nass might already be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not sure. I'd be surprised if he's not, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I'm going to Google it.
Is there anyone you think should actually just be there in that Hall of Fame now? Also, would you want to see the Hall of Fame back? Obviously, currently what the Hall of Fame does award those who are in it is a one-time Pro Tour attendance each year. I think that's cool. I like it. I like Kibler rolling himself out once a year for a Pro Tour, because like he doesn't roll over. Like some of his last results, he has like day two. So like it's cool that it kind of keeps like competitive, like alive, and also for those who've like transitioned into that kind of content world, like you could even argue someone like a Jim Davis would be sort of there, like just based on consistency, and like that would be an interesting one because that would be sort of like overlapping the like addition, like what have they given to the game versus also what does the results look like, and
Yeah,
would
absolutely.
you start like entering people for that? Like Mengucci's also had results as well, but like, you know, he's also someone who's in that world of, do you take like his results from before and also like his additions now
Yeah.
and let him in. But that, yeah, interesting.
I think like introducing that like invitational element to the Pro Tour would be probably a net positive, even if they just like go 0-3 in draft and then play 2 matches of constructed and then drop and then go record some content. The fact that content around tournaments and tournament attendance is getting more popular again. It used to be quite popular. People used to watch coverage a lot more than they did for a little while there, just pre-COVID and obviously during COVID when there were no paper tournaments really to speak of. We've shouted them out so many times, but with all the content creators doing tournament coverage in the vein of like Wolfie from Pokemon, getting content creators into these tournaments, and I'm not saying this because I am one. I don't want an invitational invite to a Pro Tour. I want to get there on my own merits if I want to get there because I'm a competitive player. But it would be a really good opportunity, even if it was to just go to the Magic Con. If people want to play in these tournaments, then make it slightly easier. I know that's a sentiment that we've seen from pro players as well. Falling off, someone like Nathan Stoyer falling off the Pro Tour is ridiculous.
Yeah, like the safety net of like the PTQ is nice, but like you really fall hard. Like
It's a small safety net though, and we had it when we were speaking to Simon. When Simon Nielsen came on the podcast, he was talking about how he had to go play and win an RCQ
yeah,
just in case.
yeah, Ben did just now, like this last one season with us. Like we were shocked to see him just rock up on a random Sunday to us in Gloucester, and he's like, well, like, what if I don't requeue? Then I need to have requeued for this. Yeah, and it's hard to process. I think I don't know if it would be a solution. We talked about it whilst we were like in our Discord watching over the weekend. I think I landed on a little bit like a parachute payment. So if you're in the UK, there's our top football league. If you fall out the Premier League for the first 2 seasons, you're in the next division. You get like a big lump of cash because you've effectively got like a load of players that you just basically paid the bag to. So you need to make sure that you don't go bankrupt. I feel a little bit like maybe 1 or 2 RCQ invites for when you fall off the Pro Tour automatically would at least be like a good security net.
Yeah, like if you qualify for a Pro Tour, it gives you the next 2 RCs.
Yeah.
Because then you're not having people like Simon Nielsen rocking up to an RCQ and aspiring players basically going, well, what's the fucking point of me being here?
Yeah. And it's also
and
nice.
That is a compliment to Simon.
Yeah, it's also nice. It's also nice to see like a pro at your locals, but at the same time, it like completely.
It's nice to see them. It's not nice to play against them.
No, it doesn't. And I bet the percentage of EV that someone like that turning up to your locals would get is just incredible. Like,
but I mean, we had it right when we've played locally against Autumn Burchett, who won Mythic Championship 1, accomplished pro player. And yeah, we've played against them in RCQs, and it's like, well, what the fuck am I doing here? I'm not on this level yet. Like, maybe I'll be at this level one day, but I'm here to play against other players like me. I'm not here to play against people who've won Mythic Championships.
Yeah, and we saw on that similar note, we saw no news over the weekend about the 2027 upcoming, which is interesting. Obviously, we still have 2 more Magic Cons this year. We saw a slight insight into upcoming Magic sets. Spoiler alert for anyone. Basically, it's Dark Strixhaven, which like cool. Thanks for coming. Is what
the 3rd set in the Strixhaven block.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing is there.
The Hobbit is a small set as well. I saw that.
The Hobbit is a small set. But we don't have anything after August at this particular point. We've
It's mad, right?
We find that I thought that they had a little window to kind of go, do you know what, guys? We're bringing Pioneer back.
Hang on. That's you smoking the copium.
In the corner. In the corner.
I am actually amazed we haven't seen any of the sets for next year yet. All we've got is the next 6 months. And they've said there's going to be 6 sets next year, where this year they had an extra one, probably just so they could like try it and see what the response was and take the piss a bit. But then next year we're going to 6 sets. There's 3 UB, 3 in universe. We do not have any confirmation of sizing yet. So it seems like they are doing more of these small sets. I'm really interested to see how The Hobbit does, because Lord of the Rings did fantastically because the IP fit Magic well and it's really popular. Not only is The Hobbit that little tiny click less popular than Lord of the Rings in general, but it's a small set. And the small sets we've seen up to this point, Spider-Man, TMNT, Assassin's Creed, they vaguely fit Magic, but they weren't as good a fit as Lord of the Rings, Avatar, Final Fantasy. So that's the thing I'm going to be looking at. And I'm sure a lot of people in Wizards are as well, because if The Hobbit bombs, they might need to be doing some last minute development work on some of the sets from next year real quick to try and expand them out a little bit. Because for me, that would just be proof that small sets don't work in the modern day. When they're in blocks, that's fine. They felt like add-ons. When they're standalone products, they're not add-ons. And especially if you're charging £7.50 a booster, where you open 6 packs and you're going to have 3 of a particular uncommon, it's not good for the people discovering the game, because they're like, oh, all these cards are just repeated. There's not enough cards. And then for the established players, they go, well, there's no value in drafting it. There's no value in playing with it or buying any sealed product apart from the one card that breaks through into constructed.
Yeah, it's had a sort of a reverse effect of their expectation, wasn't it? It's like, let's diversify our IPs. More people will buy cardboard. And actually, if anything, is, hey, you've diversified the IPs, so I have less reason to buy cardboard.
Yeah.
Like, so this is... So
yeah, but if you're an Avatar fan, you're just going to buy Avatar cards at this point.
Yeah, and I actually went to it's the pre-Rift weekend for Riftbound, so I actually went to one of those this weekend. Sort of a little interesting bit of time. It was cool, kind of a really cool setup. There's a lot of people with a lot of different games, like opening and ripping packs, and excited to rip packs because of shocker for the IP of the game that you're looking to play, and also as well though, like, they're sort of there's a lot of Magic players that are going like, oh, I still like Magic, but like, no, I don't need any of this experience. Like, I'm not, this experience in Magic is no longer as fun as it used to be. And that was a real thought provoker that I had. Because obviously we quite like pride ourselves on our pre-releases and the experience of the pre-release. But one thing we both haven't done for a while is actually sit down and play a pre-release. And I wondered about that. And I went like,
the Magic would be mostly lost because we're established players and we don't open packs and look at every single card and look at the flavor text, and I look at the art a bit, not nowhere near as much as I used to when 15, 16 years ago, when I was getting very few booster packs. I hadn't even discovered that there were online stores for singles yet. It was, I want to get some new cards for my deck, so I went out and begged my mum for a bit more pocket money so I could buy some more packs, and then I'd play with my friends at school. When you're doing that, when your collection is 100, 200 cards, you are going to read every single one of them back to front. The magic of the game would encapsulate you there. We are old. We are curmudgeonly. We have been playing the game for way too long, and we look at it more as a maths puzzle than a game a lot of times.
Yeah, true.
Where we don't imagine ourselves being planeswalkers fighting a duel. We're playing a game of Magic. This is really good for getting young people into the game, which they need to be better at. And I think part of the reason why we're seeing this disillusionment with product fatigue, with people going, ripping packs just ain't the same as it used to be, is a lot of Magic players have been playing the game for a long time. And I think there's always statistics thrown around, and I can't remember the exact ones, but from Wizards, where their player retention is like insane. It's like the average Magic player plays Magic for like 8 years. And there's, in terms of video games, which is one of the only like lateral movements in the sort of nerdosphere, if someone said they've been playing a game for 8 years and it wasn't Pokemon or an MMO, you'd go, buy a new game, dude.
Yeah.
Like, surely you've 100%ed it multiple times. And with Magic, you can play for 8 years and you can barely scratch the surface.
And then you just restart, right? Like, that's the thing that Magic's like kind of created. The games within the games of like,
yeah, you go play a different format, and then you're just you go play a different format, and then you're just like, well, I have a little basis of knowledge, but I'm starting mostly from the ground up. In the same way that if you play World of Warcraft, you can move over to Final Fantasy 14, and there are some similarities there, and you can go, oh, okay, this kind of translates to this. You can do that with Magic, but you are going to have to relearn some things. And yeah, there's disillusionment in the player base because I think we're all just getting older. I think we've been playing the game for a long, long time. And if someone's listening to this and they're a new player, do not take this as a sign to get out now while you still can.
No, the game's good.
Me and Dave aren't going anywhere. And yeah, Dave dabbles with Riftbound. He's dabbled with Lorcana. I played a couple of games of Riftbound and then went, yeah, not for me. We both used to be big Hearthstone players. Outside of that, Dave basically works and sees his family. I play other games. But Magic is number one for both of us. And that's despite all this disillusionment that I'm talking about. That is despite us sitting down for an hour every week and bitching and moaning and complaining, rage baiting.
Which we've done a lot less of. We definitely have. And we're not even necessarily complaining at this point. We're sort of just, I think the term is pontificating
Hang on, how the fuck can you rip pontificating off the dome and pronounce it correctly, but earlier you said Selesnya lessons?
ADHD,
you are an enigma unto yourself, my friend. But yeah, it's
what do we do in it? Like, what do we do? Because ultimately, like, it's been the way the line we've been taken down. The term booster fun still rings true in every pre-release booklet that I see, and I think.
But you see it in pre-releases, man, with the players who are less experienced and less disillusioned than us, who are just happy to be there and happy to play some games. They will open a Dismember and go, what the fuck is this? Or they'll open some special guest card and it's not a card that they've seen before, or it's a card they've heard about but never thought they would own because it's expensive. That kind of stuff is fantastic and they should do more of it.
So maybe the answer just is like, and a little bit like you'd even say to your kids or your friends, you can have too much of a good thing. Like, maybe we've got the product right, but we just do it too often. I think that is true.
I think they've got the product
right.
Yeah, they've got the product right. Just stop trying to shove 6 sets down our throat.
So like, to go back to the Riftbound one, so this weekend is the first pre-Rift since a set came out in February, I want to say. I think it was, February was when Spirit Forge came out. So basically they've had 3 months since the last set, hence making you excited to open these new boosters and play these new boosters. Since that time, we've had 3 sets.
Especially if they're going to do 3-year standard.
Yeah. Like that, so no wonder we're not excited about it, because once you do the same thing in the same period 3 times as much, you are just tired.
I'm dreading the next set. I'm not excited for it.
Yeah, so
I'm dreading it because I'm a competitive player and I'm going to go, right, how much money am I going to have to spend for this bloody set when it's 2 months separated from Secrets of Strixhaven coming out and us having to, preparing for London, go out and cover off bases and buy not just rares, but commons, uncommons. You've managed to accrue some emeritus of ideation. I'm not buying them.
Exactly. Spoiler on the decks that we're playing. we're gonna maybe talk about them in this episode, but I think we just got to the point in the episode where we could probably go on for another half hour if we do.
Yeah. If you want to find out what we're playing, join the Discord and ask us.
Yeah, no secrets. Come join the Discord. Come see there. But it is Secrets of Strixhaven Spotlight Week. We will see you on Friday in London. We have got lots of things to give away, talk about. Come see us, come interact with us. You might get a little bit of a discount off some of the vendors if you come interact with us as well. And I'll just leave that there for you if you are in person and you want to come see us. Come see us. Go see the Heavy Play guys. Go see the Ultimate Guard guys. There's lots of different stuff there. If you want to sit down and have a chat, we'll have a chat because you might end up on an episode as well. So have a great weekend. And enjoy the coverage as well. It's going to be covered by the wonderful team at Fanfinity all weekend. If the internet's good, we might boot up a live stream ourselves on Friday, but we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, get back to school and go get your deck out. We're just going to sing in like the after bit here.
I don't even know what to riff about, man.
I think
the people who've stuck around this long, I'm playing Lessons. Dave's probably playing Mardu Discard.
Yeah, Mardu Discard or Demir of Excruciator because they were like outlier decks, and I enjoy playing them. So
I don't know, man. Like with your choice, it's a lot more open, right? And with me, I think I tried to find excuses to not play Lessons.
Yeah. This is my reason to play the deck I'm playing, and you just see it, and you'll just see it in the Discord now. That's the reason for me to play what I'm playing.
76% win rate on Magic Arena. It's not bad. Blue Black Arden. Ooh.
And we'll leave it at there. We'll see you all next week.